So, we actually have a little bit of good news to report to AMC stock investors. Yeah, it feels like we don't get that all the time. The Thanksgiving weekend box office was actually better than expectations, and this is what you need to see for AMC. AMC needs to see a strong box office. We just had B. Riley Securities analyst Eric Wohl, one of the more bullish analysts that cover AMC. He lowered his estimates for 2024's box office by about $1 billion. We need to see box office results coming in strong. So we're going to go over that news, get you guys caught up to speed. This is probably going to affect AMC stock here tomorrow because the numbers are pretty impressive nonetheless. Now, we are also going to get into what is going on specifically with AMC. We're going to look at the charts. We're going to look at these short interest data. We're also going to get into some of the major events happening this week. Everything you need to know in regards to AMC as well as the broader markets. Now, let me know what you guys are doing this week. Are you buying, selling, holding? What are you doing? What stocks are you looking at? Let me know all of that information down below in the comment section. But let's go ahead and jump straight into it with the good news for AMC. Hunger Games prequel Napoleon leads as Thanksgiving box office shows signs of life. This year's Thanksgiving box office is estimated to have reached $172 million. Lionsgate's Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, held the top box office spot with around $42 million in ticket sales over the 5-day holiday weekend. Disney's Wish fell short of expectations, generating about $31.7 million during its first 5 days domestically. Box office analysts had forecast a haul of $45 million to $55 million. So some impressive numbers for the most part, right? Apple's Napoleon, an R-rated war epic distributed by Sony, snarred around $32.5 million as well, which was a little bit better than expected. Apple's, that's pretty strange. And we should actually start to get Amazon movies heading to theaters too. Remember that news that we went over probably a year ago now, where Amazon was going to start making theatrical films, 10 to 12 films just for theaters every year. Hopefully that starts to kind of fill some of the void that we might see in 2024. Now, this says, quote, it wouldn't be a holiday box office season without some occasional upsets, and this weekend is delivering on that front, said Sean Robbins, chief analyst at boxoffice.com. Napoleon is a solid win for Sony and Apple theaters and moviegoers all around the world. Another successful adult-driven film was needed right now after the vacancy left behind by Dune Part 2 and the light holiday calendar still ahead. Overall, the Thanksgiving box office secured around $172 million, an improvement over the previous 3 years of pandemic-pressured ticket sales. And here you can see, these are the numbers. 2022 was $122.8 million. 2021 was $142.7 million. 2020 was $21.4 million. 2019 was $263.4 million. And the biggest of all time was 2018. I believe that might have been Thor around that time that was still having an effect positively on the box office numbers in 2018. But nonetheless, this is showing some good signs, especially considering there wasn't like any crazy film that you had to see. I really want to see the Hunger Games, but that's just because I've watched all the other ones, I read the books when I was younger, all of that. But we really don't have anything too crazy in theaters right now that it's overall driving people to theaters. People just want to go out and do things. I drove past a theater, an AMC theater, last night, and it was packed. I mean, it was like full to the brim. So maybe that's just where I live. Maybe people just wanted something to do where I live. But if that's the case for most AMC theaters, this weekend was definitely good for AMC specifically. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. This should be seen as some good news. I will say that confidently right now. That should be some good news. Now, the Swiss central bank slashed AMC stake, sells Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla stock. The central bank of Switzerland recently reduced some of its high-profile investments in U.S. traded securities. The Swiss National Bank slashed the position of movie theater chain AMC, reduced investments in Apple, Nvidia, and Tesla. Now, in the third quarter, the bank disclosed the stock trades, among others, in a format file with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The bank declined to comment. Swiss National Bank's balance sheet total shrank in 2022 for the first time in 15 years to 988 billion from 1.2 trillion. The loss was principally due to valuation losses on investments, with foreign currency sales also a contributing factor, the bank said in its annual report. The bank sold 828,750 AMC shares to end the quarter with 301,691 shares. AMC stock plunged 80% in the first 9 months of 2023, and so far in the fourth quarter, it has slipped 14%. The Swiss National Bank sold 976,000 NVIDIA shares to end the quarter with 7.9 million shares. NVIDIA stock tripled in value in the first 9 months of 2023, and so far in the fourth quarter, shares are up 10%. Tesla stock hasn't had the rally that NVIDIA stock has this year, having merely doubled in the first 9 months of 2023. So far in the fourth quarter, the EV maker stock has slipped 6%. This article is actually not telling us exactly how many shares of Tesla were sold. I find that right here. The Swiss National Bank sold 1.1 million Tesla shares to end the third quarter with 9.2 million shares. So what I will say here is this is a lot of selling of positions. Overall, some big percentage declines here that are being sold. And considering this, their central bank, this is the Swiss Central Bank. It says Swiss National Bank. If you actually look into that, I wanted to double check. And the Swiss National Bank is the central bank of Switzerland. So it's kind of like the Fed here. Instead, they actually buy stocks. Our Fed does not buy individual stocks. I don't believe they're allowed to buy individual stocks. I've never heard of that. That's never happened before. So I don't think they are. But the Swiss National Bank, Swiss Central Bank does. It looks like they're having some kind of liquidity problems. That's kind of what it's looking like to me when they're selling this many shares. Now, obviously, the Swiss National Bank can go ahead and print themselves some more money if they need to, but it doesn't help as much unless you are the reserve currency, in which we are. That's why we have the privilege to print as much as possible. We have the petrodollar. Now, let's go ahead and get into some more AMC specific data and then talk about the events of this week. Now, first things first, a renaissance, a film by Beyonce, goes Hollywood with a star-studded premiere event in Los Angeles. The film opens in movie theaters around the world on December 1st. We want to see this film be successful. We want to see people come out to watch this film. This should directly have a big benefit to AMC, so this should be represented in this quarter. If it starts December 1st, then a vast majority of the sales for this movie are going to be for Q4. That should help out AMC earnings, especially if people do go out to the movies. These tickets are higher priced, and obviously if they spend like they did with the Taylor Swift film, I don't know, the relevance of Beyonce compared to Taylor Swift. It feels like Taylor Swift might be a little bit bigger these days, but Beyonce is obviously still very popular. So we'll see how this film should be good news for AMC stock. So we do have some good things going for us right now, that is for sure. But still, we definitely want to see the dilution stop. We want to see the good news start to roll in. Now let's take a look at the option activity here for this week. Open interest on the call side, 69.5%. Open interest on the put side at 30.5%. So there's over a 2-to-1 ratio for calls compared to puts. Lots of calls, not a lot of puts. People are pretty bullish across the board on AMC stock for this week. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. That doesn't necessarily mean AMC stock is going to do well, but it's a pretty good sign that it might do well. Now, take this data with a big grain of salt, like I've said before, and I'll say it again. If you believe these numbers, you probably do not want to be in a short squeeze trade based on these numbers, right? To some degree, if you are in this trade, you do not think these numbers are correct. I don't think these numbers are correct. By saying these numbers out loud, it's not me acknowledging that I think they are correct. I think they are false. I think AMC short interest could be hundreds of percents. I think there's a lot of positions that are being hidden. I cannot prove that definitively. That is not legal financial advice. That is not set in stone. I could be crazy and a lunatic. You never know. Don't trade based on what I say or what I think. Okay? Disclaimer. Now, short interest of free float at 9.14%, $126 million worth of short positions in AMC stock that Ortex is accounting for. 0.76 days to cover, 18.08 million shares that are currently sold short, 13.71 million shares currently out on loan, cost to borrow 1.27%, utilization 31.36%, and a short score of 54.44 out of 100. Cost to borrow average currently at 6%, cost to borrow minimum at 1%, and cost to borrow max at about 7.25%. So those are the numbers here. Official reports. The latest one we got was 9.37% short interest of free float. That was actually an improvement of about 20% on a reporting period. It's not a quarter over quarter. Report over report period. I don't even know what to call that. Like the 2-week period for these reports. So there was actually more shorting positions that were initiated within the last 2 weeks. I imagine that trend did continue, especially as AMC stock did fall here as of recently. For whatever reason, the Stocko tracker data is not pulling up the options that are currently on the option chain for this upcoming week. But as you guys already know, there's over 100,000 calls on this expiration. There's about 40,000 puts last we knew on this expiration as well. Again, there's a 2-to-1 ratio. There's 2 times as many calls as puts, and there is a lot of option activity for this week. When the Stocko tracker data does update, it's going to be easier to see that. It probably will come tomorrow morning when the markets actually do open. This will probably update and give us the real numbers, but there's a lot of option activity this week. I expect there's going to be a lot of volatility this week with AMC stock and with the broader markets. Now, some of the major events we have. I should start with the economic calendar. Monday and Tuesday, there's a lot of secondary data that's going to be coming out. A lot of surveys, S&P Case-Shiller home price, some Fed speakers, CB consumer confidence here on Tuesday, Fed Waller, Richmond Fed services, Dallas Fed services. These things can move the markets, right? You want to watch them. You want to know how they come out. I recommend you guys have this up on your computer, on your phone, on your tablet, wherever you have it. Print it out on a piece of paper if you have to. If you're not tech savvy, do what you gotta do to have this trading calendar, because you want this calendar to be available to you throughout the trading day, because there's so many different things that are gonna be happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, basically every single day that can move the markets, especially bonds. The bond auctions, the 7-year note auctions, as you'll see them come up a lot here. Those can also be big catalysts for intraday swings in our markets. The first big catalyst of this week will happen. That's a GDP growth rate quarter over quarter, second estimate for Q3. You're expecting 5%. The first number that we got was 2.1%. So you're expecting some really good economic data here. If this comes in worse than expected, that's probably going to be seen as good news. 5% might be seen as bad news, so we'll have to wait and see. Could give you a negative reaction for our markets. And then a lot of revised data here coming out Wednesday at 8:30 in the morning. PC, retail inventories, good trade balance, corporate profits, all kinds of different things. So we're not going to run through each individual small catalyst. That's why you guys need to have this up for yourselves. Now, Thursday... Gonna have some big catalysts here. Core PCE price index month over month, personal income month over month, personal spending month over month, initial jobless claims, PCE price index month over month, PCE price index year over year. We're gonna go through these in the next video, what I expect when we get into the price prediction for AMC stock by the end of this week. But it's basically Goldilocks what we're expecting. We're expecting really good data across the board, whether it's bad data on the personal spending front or whether it's good data with the inflation report. So that will be important. And then on Friday, you are going to get Fed Jerome Powell that speaks at 11 a.m. Obviously, if he says something pushing back on some of the rate cut expectations we currently have for 2024, that's not going to be great. If he doesn't, if he confirms maybe it's time to cut rates, that's going to be really good news. And then ISM manufacturing PMI at 10 o'clock in the morning as well on Friday also will be important. Current open positions on our markets, like the SPY, 65% bearish, 35% bullish. So you're still very bearish. That makes me overall bullish on our markets. When you have this many bears, it's hard to be bearish, right? You don't want to be in the crowd of what everyone else is, right? If everyone's bullish, it's probably time to be bearish. If everyone's bearish, it's probably time to be bullish. It's pretty straightforward. So contrarian indicator right there is pretty bullish. Looking at the broader markets like the QQQ, you are in a longer term cup and handle formation. You have gotten the confirmed breakout to the upside. I think you probably need to rally higher from here, probably hit new all-time highs. That wouldn't surprise me. Maybe get up to about 410 or 415 on the QQQs before you have a chance of coming down big time. I think fundamentally right now it makes sense why markets are rallying. The summer rally didn't make sense. Rallies that we've seen in the past didn't make sense. But now inflation is actually really coming down. We're not going to get any more rate hikes. We're going to get some rate cuts in 2024. The economy's holding up. It makes sense why stocks are going higher right now. And I think stocks should go higher right now. Not your big tech stocks. I think broader markets need to catch up. Small, mid-cap companies, well-known businesses, companies that have been improving. Even AMC, you can group that in that category, right? AMC's been improving almost every single quarter since the Rona. That's a stock that might get some more capital allocation to it. A stock like Tesla is interest rate sensitive, that is still, doing well. Household name, very safe, right? Relatively speaking, as safe as investing can be. And then your other small and mid cap companies that are high quality, those are the names you really want to be into right now. It just gets vibrating, tickles. But yeah, so I think AMC should benefit from that. We're going to go over some more things in the next video. Highly recommend you guys watch that one as well and go over exactly what I'm expecting for this week with AMC stock. I think you're going to be pretty excited about that video. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Let me know what stocks you are buying, selling, holding. Let me know all that information down below in the comment section. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.